Formula One commentator for Speed, Bob Varsha, joins us. Hi, Bob. How are you?
Great, Steve. Charlie, good to be with y'all.
Hey, Bob.
Well, I understand you said that there's a heck of a thunderstorm going through Atlanta right now, so hopefully it won't mess with our communications at this point, but we'll go until the lightning knocks us out. Let's talk about Formula One a little bit. Charlie and I don't get a chance to do that a lot. We're mostly a NASCAR and stock car concentric show, but every once in a while we like to change the boundaries a little bit. A lot of talk about Formula One coming to the United States next year in New Jersey, and then the Austin, Texas deal as well. Where do both of those things stand? I know in Formula One you may not know from 1 week to the next where they stand.
Yeah, that's how Formula One likes to stay in the news. As of right now, both events are moving right along on schedule to their race days. Austin, as you mentioned, comes up the weekend of November 16th to the 18th. That track is paved, and they've got 300 workers out there working 7 days a week to make sure the facility's ready, and they say that they'll make it on time. I understand rooms are pretty hard to find, so it looks like they're going to have a bumper crowd in the first year. And the New Jersey event, despite the comments that you've no doubt read from Bernie Ecclestone about maybe the race won't happen, really, guys, it's no more than Bernie staying in the news. He also said, well, if it's ready, the race will happen, but who knows if it's going to be ready? Well, duh. So I think both races are in good hands. The management of both events, although they are very different in their approach, these are not naive businessmen, and they'll do what they say they're going to do.
Charlie and I opened the show today talking about the NASCAR race down in Kentucky and kind of a snooze fest that it was, not a lot of passing, kind of boring. Back in years gone by, we might have made the joke that it was a Formula One race that had fenders,
right,
but not so much anymore. The Formula One racing has gotten so good this year. You've really got to be on your game this year. You got racing to call this year.
Oh, absolutely. It's been great fun, and I know there's an open debate out there about whether or not the passing fest that we see in Formula One this year, I mean, 70-odd passes in the Chinese race, and the event in Valencia, Spain a couple of weeks ago, the second highest total with 58 or 60. So, and these are meaningful passes in Formula One. There's only 24 cars in the race. 10 of them score points. There are hundreds of millions of dollars at stake. So these are meaningful passes. Now, whether it's because of the devices that have been introduced in recent years, the heavily degrading Pirelli tires, the drag reduction system where a driver can open the top element of his rear wing to get a little extra top speed and get by somebody, or the KERS system that allows a power boost for about 6 seconds a lap. I mean, all of these things, I mean, no matter how we arrive at it, the racing has been spectacular. And as last I checked, that was the point of the exercise, was to make it entertaining and exciting and fun. And here we are, and I agree with you. I mean, those the old insults to Formula One about being boring really don't apply and haven't for several years now.
Where do you see Formula One at as far as its health as we sit here in 2012? Is it best it's ever been, somewhere in the middle? Where is it at?
Well, I think the competition, the product on track is the best it's ever been.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that just to pump up our viewer ratings. On the other hand, while the racing has been exciting, the financial health of Formula One isn't the best it's ever been. It is like an arms race. It is incredibly expensive, and there's more expense to come in Formula One because they're scheduled to change the engine formula to turbocharged V6s in 2014, and these are going to be very expensive engines. And a lot of folks are wondering whether or not Formula One is going down the wrong path just by not doing everything in its power to reduce the cost of being involved in Formula One. I mean, the top team budgets are still in excess of $200, $300 million just to put two cars on a racetrack for 20 races a year. I mean, that's a decade of NASCAR racing.
Yeah.
But that's the way Formula One has evolved, and that's part of the charm to those of us, whose money is not being spent trying to put these missiles out there. But I think it's clear that Formula One really does need to work together to try to bring down the cost of competing for its own health.
We're talking to Bob Varsha, who's of course, the lead Formula One announcer for Speed and the Speed broadcast of the Formula One races. Bob, When you say, a lot of our listeners are not Formula One fans, when you say a V6 turbocharged engine's coming out in 2014, it's going to be very expensive. Give our fans an idea what's very expensive in Formula One for an engine.
Well, right now, the engine lease deals, if you are not sponsored by a major manufacturer, specifically Renault, Ferrari, or Mercedes, and then there's the private engine builder from Cosworth, if you're not getting your engines at a discount, you're probably spending $10 to $12 million a year just for engines. Now, the rumor out there is that these manufacturers have spent in excess of $50 million developing these new engines, and they're going to want to recoup that investment. So everybody is looking around thinking, oh, what are my engines going to cost beginning in 2014? I mean, 14, 15, $20 million just for motors. So, I mean, that's what I mean when I say Formula One really has to work hard to reduce its costs and make it possible for a private, meaning a non-manufacturer-owned and sponsored team, to go out and compete effectively.
There have been several new racetracks built over the last several years all around the world in places that really no international racing series has ever gone before. I talk about Singapore and China. And of all the tracks that are on the circuit now, Bob, what's your favorite?
My favorite circuit?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm kind of old school, you know, and I appreciate racetracks that have long histories, not necessarily those newbies that you mentioned.
Right.
So I would go with probably Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium or Monza in Italy. Having said that, I mean, the track in Singapore, which is a street race under artificial light, they actually set up enough light to run this, whatever it is, 2.75-mile street race. And it is absolutely spectacular to watch, surrounded by the skyline of one of the world's great cities in Singapore. But having said that, you know, as an old road racer at heart, I kind of like the old European tracks that have had a history going back almost 100 years, and where the sound echoes off the trees, and the drivers really are racing in the tire tracks of the greats of the Grand Prix era going back before the wars.
Yeah.
What's the stability of Monaco as far as a racetrack goes? There's been a little bit of talk out there that, you know, these cars may have, you know, gotten so fast and really are no longer able to you know, race Monaco the way it should be. Do you ever see Monaco going away?
Never. Absolutely not.
Excellent.
Now,
good
having
answer.
said that, Monaco is a complete anachronism. It represents everything Formula One professes itself to be. It is expensive, it is glamorous, it is elite, it is extreme, it is decadent, it is just glittering. And the track is shorter than the rest of the world is allowed to be, and it's an absolutely ridiculous place to try to work. As someone once said, it's like trying to conduct a prize fight in a symphony orchestra in a phone booth, or drive a race car around your living room. It's just impossibly tight. But having said that, it's a place that they've been going for 60 years now, and they want so much to be a part of that scene, and it is an event that's so ingrained in the history of Formula One that it'll never go away. I mean, other tracks have to pay $35 to $40 million just to host a Formula One race at the high end. Monaco pays not one dime.
Amazing.
Well, you guys do a terrific job on the broadcast, and we enjoy watching them whenever we get a chance to watch. And we really appreciate your time, Bob, joining us on Pit Row.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you again. We'll talk some more about Barrett Jackson, because that's always a lot of fun to watch you guys auction off all those great cars that we as the laymen sit back and go, man, I had one of those. Why did I ever let it get away, you know?
Yeah.
I hear that so often. I had one of those, and I gave it away, or I sold it for $2,500, and there goes one for $60,000. Yeah, I've heard it.
Yeah.
Or it turned to rust after 3 years. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, Bob, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again.
Okay, take care, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, Bob
Bob
Varsha.
Varsha.